Hi, guys. Thank y'all for joining me. Today, I am going to be talking about the reasons why sports betting should be legalized in South Carolina. Now, 85% of American adults have gambled at least once in their lifetime, and saying that sports betting is a huge industry and it's continually growing. And more than 2 dozen states have legalized some form of sports betting in their states. Now, in 2018, the US Supreme Court overturned the Professional and Amateur Sports Protection Act, which was formed in 1992, which lifts the ban on states being able to establish their own sports wagering industries. So now states have the option to form some kind of thing to where sports betting can be legalized. And the Interstate Wire Act of 1961 totally did not allow that at all because it was trying in the 60s they were trying not to form gangs and not to they were trying to hit their pocketbook for gang violence and that kind of stuff. But it's 2021 and so much has changed since then, which and with so many states having some form of sports betting, it provides the question, why hasn't South Carolina done that yet? Because 6.6 million Americans take place in sports betting throughout the country. I know multiple people that love to place bets on sports, especially with the COVID-19 happening and them not being able to go to games. They want to feel like they're a part of it in some way. So most of the boys I know put money on their favorite sports teams, which they use an online platform. And to think about it, that money that is going to that online platform could be coming into South Carolina to benefit our roads, which we highly need. We need road maintenance, bridges, that kind of stuff. And also, other states have implemented when they did allow some form of sports betting to take place, they did put more money into the gambling addiction like fund itself to help people with gambling addiction, help that. So, but the thing that South Carolina has done is it has had one attempt with a joint effort from the House and the Senate to legalize all forms of commercial gambling, including casinos and South Carolina sports betting. And it was called South Carolina H3395. And this was from the legislature, and it was a bill that would permit sports betting in the states and that would allow for wagers to be made on horse racing and pro games. No mention is regarding the NCAA athletics, but there was further language entering full blown casinos and table games with slots. All of we have to drive, well, not me, but people have to drive to Cherokee, North Carolina to go to a casino. And to think about that, North Carolina is getting that money that if South Carolina could have some form of that, the state could be getting that money. So many states have established legislative committees and study groups to research the impact of sports betting and gaming so that the legislature can make an informed decision. And if South Carolina was to do that, and they have tried once before, and it was called S00067, was to inspect and research the data and see how beneficial it could be to the state. However, the opinions of South Carolina, since so many people they call gambling a sin activity, and I don't disagree with that. There needs to be limits on it. That way people cannot form that an addiction. However, I don't want to be blunt, but most people like doing fantasy football. Most people like being able to participate in their sports teams, and to figure out a way to do that with a limit where it's not hurtful to the people and the state can benefit from it would just be amazing. However, there are no efforts that have been successfully made in South Carolina. But if that bill was reproposed, and many people have seen the benefits of other states having it, like Delaware has made the state has taken in $35 million in taxes and jurisdiction revenue from legalizing sports betting. And in Delaware, the Delaware Lottery is in charge of it. So the South Carolina Lottery could be in charge of the same things. We have the opportunities to do this and to benefit from us as a state. And obviously the legal gambling age would still be 21. We would still have those limits. And New York and like more states that are getting into this new like way of thinking is like offering their own mobile sports site, especially with COVID, since you can't go into places. They are offering a mobile sports site to where you can bet, and the states can still benefit from the profits of it. And since so many states have legalized it, it forms a question like, why can't South Carolina do that? And it's just because of the opinions of the Senate and the House, and like so many people refusing the bill just because of the idea of gambling. But if they saw the benefits that legalizing sports betting could have, then I feel like that it could have a lot more power to succeed, and we would be able to profit highway roads, bridge maintenance, construction, and repair, which all South Carolina needs. People have said South Carolina has the worst roads ever. So to think that just from people betting on their favorite sports team could benefit that, like that's insane. And I don't see an issue with that as long as there are specific limitations put to where like New York has done, like they can't spend more than $1,000. Like $1,000, like, yes, it seems a lot, like, but it's not gonna be, like, detrimental to people's lives. Like, it's not gonna force them to lose their house, lose their car, that kind of stuff. So, with that being said, in our, like, society today, we're so big on, like, being a part of things, like, we can, like, talk about things immediately, we can tweet it, we can do all of this stuff, and I know a lot my family does like fantasy football. Like a lot of people take place in that. I know a lot of my guy friends bet on their favorite sports teams. And to just think that South Carolina can profit from that, I don't see a reason why they shouldn't be able to. But I am going to open it up for debate and discussion. So if you have any questions.
Do you think that an issue with like rights might come up? Because I think a lot of people who do develop that addiction or who already have that addiction um, may not like the whole $1,000 limit, even though it's good for them. They may want to bet more. So do you think there might be like some kind of lawsuit or something like that?
I think that I mean, there's always online forms of it that people in South Carolina have done that don't protect your needs. Like they can refuse to pay you if you do win a bet. And there are always those platforms. However, $1,000 is like $1,000 a month. It's like not for like a whole year or anything like that. But it's just like I think it's not more I definitely could see how it could be a rights issue. I'm not disagreeing with you. However, like South Carolina is looking for the best interest of the people, and a lot of people have like especially in like the states that have approved it, they have seen like a dramatic group of people like are for this because they are legalizing it. They're allowing them to do this. And they're just like they're more like I don't want to say grateful, but they're very like they're happy that they had the chance to do this legally because it wasn't legal. Like totally gambling was not legal at all. So them having a chance to do it in the right form is better than them doing it illegally and maybe not getting paid because the states always are going to have the best interest for the people no matter what.
I really liked your point about how a lot of people go out of state to gamble and to do stuff like that. And so I really see your point of bringing the money back to South Carolina. Because I mean, I know a lot of people who will drive up to North Carolina and just go to a casino, go play the slot machine, stuff like that. I mean, even people that go to Las Vegas. I mean, that's the whole culture in Las Vegas is to go and play and do stuff like that. So I definitely see your point of bringing the money back to South Carolina and using it for stuff that everyone in the state can use is a really good idea. Like the roads, infrastructure, stuff like that would be a benefit to everyone who lives here.
Exactly. And like that's what I like originally thought of. Like I know my mom has gone to Cherokee just to go to the casinos. And like the fact that like she will drive just to do that, and she's not a gambler. She does it once, maybe every 5 years, but it's just it's something that people like to do. Like it's like a pastime, but like it I'm not saying that it can get bad. Like, I know it can get bad. Like, I know many people that have had an addiction with it, and that is why I think with, like, the things that other states are doing, putting the limit on it is so smart because they're finding ways to benefit from it without, like, hurting the people because, like, it's kind of a weird topic to say people like, the state's profiting from people's losses, basically. So, that's why they did put the limits, like other states have put limits on it because they don't want the people to lose so much to where, like, the state's hurting them in the end. So, yeah, but,
That
like
makes a lot
yeah.
of sense.
Yeah.
Mhm. Um, and do you think it would be a good idea to kind of compare it to, like the lottery? Because South Carolina has the South Carolina Education Lottery, so you could kind of use the same sort of argument.
Exactly, that is because if sports gambling was legalized, the South Carolina Education Lottery would be in charge of it. Like, the people that are in charge of that would definitely be in charge of, like, the same things like they are in other states because the lottery is basically the same thing. Like, you're definitely like, they approved the lottery system, and it's benefiting education. So, the same thing could go for gambling, or I don't wanna say gambling, sports betting and casinos and that types of things into, like, better things for the state. So, like, the lottery system is hand in hand with the sports betting ideas.
How do you think like the legalization of sports bettings and casinos and things would affect current agreements with like Native American populations? Because there are laws that allow Native Americans to have casinos as a form of income. How would that impact them, do you think?
I definitely think I know that it depends where if South Carolina were to legalize it, if they were to put a casino in South Carolina, it would depend on the location, because I know I live in the upstate, it would be a lot easier for me to drive to Cherokee than it would be to drive to Myrtle Beach. So, like, it all depends on locations, and I think that the Native American population, like, I know that that is an income for them, and I don't necessarily think that they would lose a ton of income because it all depends on where you're located in the state. Because like, sometimes it is closer to drive to North Carolina than it is to drive all the way down to the Low Country. It's like, I'm up there, like, in the mountains of South Carolina, and I can cross the North Carolina line in 20 minutes. So it's all depends on location, and I think that North Carolina, like, the Native American population would still be able to have that income, but just it's the idea of you're from South Carolina and, like, you're driving 10 hours to go to North Carolina. Why don't we do a more cost like, effective one where we can also benefit from it?
Back to the whole $1,000 limit thing, I'm kind of stuck on this. Do you think that would it you would do you think there would be a lot of cost in implementing the infrastructure that would be needed to keep track of everyone who spends that money?
I definitely I think it would be the same thing as, like because how sports betting works now, at least with the guys that I know, they have a bookie. And then, like, the bookie cuts them off if they owe too much money because they don't wanna lose anymore. So and that's with, like, mobile betting apps. So, like, if South Carolina were in to implement, like, a mobile site for people that live here, then they could implement, like, the $1,000 limit. It's the same thing as, like, using almost a gift card. Like, you have, like, in sports betting, you have free play, you have so many things that are offered. So, like, it all depends. Because right now, how people are doing in South Carolina, they're going through a bookie who lives maybe in New York and going through that. So, the $1,000 limit is more to, like, keep things in check, I feel like, to keep things organized, and with casinos and that kind of stuff, I think it would just be I mean, you have to show your driver's license always in a casino to verify your age. So, they look up your driver's license, they can see the same thing as, like, if you were if you didn't pay your taxes. It could be that kind of thing where it's like a casino can't let you in if you've already exceeded a limit, because like they don't want to lose money and they don't want to hurt the person that's going in either to lose money. So I think it would be a thing where everybody's looking out for the best interest of those people, and the $1,000 limit, and that could be changed. It didn't have to be $1,000. That's just what New York was talking about. That's what other states have talked about. But it would more be for like the best interest of the person, and like to see like mobile sites, it's easy to do that because you sign into your account and you verify everything, and they can put a stop on that. And then casinos can be the same thing where if you like if they look up your license, they can see you've already exceeded that limit or you've hit the limit, and they can be like, no. It's the same thing as a credit card almost. Like you get cut off at one point or another. But I hope that answered your question. I'm sorry that was long. If y'all don't have any more questions, then I'm done. But thank y'all for joining me, and thank you for interacting in the discussion. I really appreciate it.